I can definitely say that I have felt the impacts of specifically, I think, xenophobia. Now I kind of, well, not now, I think when it started earlier on in this year, I was afraid to walk around with my boyfriend to acknowledge that he was, etc., etc. So I definitely hope it gets resolved. My name is Bonolo Molato. I am a fashion and marketing enthusiast. I currently work as marketing assistant for SALT.
Awesome, fantastic. Okay, so would you be able to tell me a bit about your experience living in South Africa given the recent racial and xenophobic tensions?
I think my experience living in South Africa has kind of been a bit of both. So my mom is colored and my father's Tswana or black. So I was fortunate enough to experience both sides of, I guess, South Africa. And in recent term, at first I would say that as a South African I didn't really pay attention to things like racism or xenophobia. But in recent term, I've noticed that COVID has obviously highlighted these issues. And with this, my partner is not from, well, he is from South Africa, but he wasn't born here.
Okay.
So I think that factor kind of made me come to terms with it. And yeah, I can definitely say that I have felt the impacts of specifically, I think, xenophobia. Now I kind of, well, not now, I think when it started earlier on in this year, I was afraid to walk around with my boyfriend to acknowledge that he was, etc., etc. So I definitely hope it gets resolved.
Yeah. I think all of us are wishing the same thing.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, given your background and everything that you shared about your origins and everything, what does diversity mean to you?
Diversity, specifically in the workplace, means organizations deliberately hiring people from different backgrounds. This might be religious, this might be gender-based, and even just skill set. However, it is important that even though we have all these diverse groups of people within one space, obviously they need to make a significant contribution to the company. So for me, what diversity means is not only having a diverse group of people within the room, but also people that significantly contribute to the economy, to the company, and overall culture.
Great. In your experience, have you faced any challenges due to your background or ethnicity?
I would say I've faced challenges and I've also faced, I guess if you want to call it, advantages. The challenges that I have faced is coming from a predominant, so for example, I went to a government school predominantly, what do they call it again? I forgot. Well, for lack of a better word, we'll just call it a government school,
right,
and all of that. I think I faced most of my discrimination or disadvantages in varsity. Luckily for me, I guess I went to UCT, so that kind of got, not eradicated, but it got a little better.
Yeah.
So I was conscious of things like accent, I was conscious of my skin tone, my hair texture, etc., etc. The advantages of my background is that I know multiple languages, so that has always been a big thing. So more communities are more accepting of who I am, and I must say that it's worked in my favor.
Fantastic. Do you feel like there are any diversity issues within the marketing industry?
Yes, I do think that the marketing, obviously there are some organizations that have tried to deal, or not deal with or address diversity and inclusion, but I do think that the marketing industry within South Africa has a very long way to go. We still see ads that are not necessarily politically correct or that are in a sense discriminatory. And it's quite sad because we are supposed to be the industry that kind of pivots diversity, inclusion, and so on and so forth. So I think we do have a long way to go.
Great. What do you view as the most challenging aspect of increasing diversity within your industry or organization?
I think the most challenging aspect is the fact that not a lot of people acknowledge that there's a problem. So I think the main issue is that we are ignoring the elephant in the room, and because we're ignoring the elephant in the room, nothing can be done about that. So I think we need to identify and acknowledge that there is a problem, and then address it head on.
Great. What is your take on BEE and the quota system, and do you feel that it is still relevant or important in 2020?
I think BEE and the quota system are very important. However, education needs to, well, in South Africa, we can't lie and say that there's equal education for all.
True.
BEE and the quota system becomes nullified when the people it's supposed to empower do not have the skills to be empowered.
Absolutely.
So I honestly think that BEE and the quota system, yes. However, we do need to upskill the people to fill these particular roles.
Yeah. So you speak a variety of languages. So out of interest, what languages do you speak?
So the languages that I've picked up from my mom's side so my home language is Afrikaans.
Okay.
And that's the language that I picked up from my mom's side of the family. From my father's side of the family, I speak Tswana, Sotho, Pedi, Xhosa, Zulu. So I speak 6 languages.
Wow.
Well, 7 including English.
And you speak them fluently?
I would say I speak Tswana, Sotho, Pedi, Afrikaans, and English fluently.
Wow. Impressive.
Not really. I kind of grew up speaking these languages.
Yeah, it was all around you anyway.
Exactly.
Okay. Great. Okay, so the last question. Okay. What is your biggest piece of advice for getting started with diversity and inclusion?
I think my biggest piece of advice for getting started would be just that. Get started. Instead of compiling a whole document on how we can do this, what our mission is, maybe just get to it.
Yeah.
We need impactful, practical ways forward, and we also need to measure diversity, find ways to measure diversity and inclusion to see if indeed things are changing, if we are making a significant change and what that change is.
Yeah. Which is pretty much what we are sort of trying to do, right?
Exactly.
Make diversity something that we can.
Exactly. And also I think since it's a topic around diversity, it's important for everybody to feel included, and it's very important for everybody to participate.
Absolutely.
This could be from the cleaner to the CEO. I feel like diversity within organizations need to encompass the whole organization.
Yeah.
Exactly.